Hey, everybody. We are Geeking Out Ninjas, and we're here to geek out. What's going on, Craig?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I
What's going on
know.
with you, Jeremiah?
Well, not a whole lot. I'm happy to be here, as always.
As always.
And, last week you were gone.
I was gone.
And so I was a little empty inside last week, just so you know.
I'm sorry.
I really was. It sounded sarcastic, but it wasn't.
I know we talked about doing an episode, but neither one of us reached out to the other to make that happen, so it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. And yeah, I'm sorry for that interruption.
Yeah,
That is my iRobot vacuum. It got stuck in my office and I did not take it out. So
hopefully that doesn't happen a bunch.
No. She just tells you every once in a while that she's stuck or tired or whatever. You know what? It was the worst purchase. It was on sale and I was like, oh, I need one.
Yeah.
Let me just get this one. And it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that.
It is. And so I didn't get Nito.
Yeah.
I should have got, because I had a Nito before. I loved it.
Yeah.
And that will be my next purchase here because that will move upstairs so the kids have to hear it.
There you go.
iRobot was just very disappointing.
Just didn't work out. Yeah.
No.
I like my Nito. My Nito will actually tell you where it's stuck if it gets stuck or if it because we have a bunch of little socks from little feet.
Yes.
Around our house. And so it always sucks up those socks and it's like, I'm stuck. But then it'll tell you on your phone and it'll show you because it maps out your house while it's doing it. And so it'll show you exactly where it's stuck, which is super handy because because I don't know if you've had it where it's like, it just beeps and you're like, it's going to take me a while to find this. I'm like listening over here. I'm like, oh, it's over here. And then it takes you a while to find it. It's so much nicer to be able to see it on the map.
Oh, it is because there are times when I forget about her because,
oh yeah,
life moves on. And then I have to try to find her underneath the couch, underneath the chair.
Yeah.
There are some spots that I know that she gets stuck because she's stupid, but yeah, she's stuck under the chair in my office, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. So anyways, enough about my robot. How was New Mexico?
It was pretty good. I don't know how. I have a different idea of what is fun, I think, than a lot of people. So I don't know if it's like fun for everybody else, but so it was just me and my dad. So not my wife or kids. So I kind of got a break from having to take care of kids, which was kind of nice.
Sure.
Not to have to worry about kids for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But we went to Carlsbad Caverns, which I'd been there before, but I hadn't been to. I think they call it the big room, which you actually go down an elevator 750 feet under in the ground, and then it's the largest I think cavern in the world. So previously I had gone to Slaughter Canyon in Carlsbad. Bless you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
And it was very, very different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Slaughter Canyon was a lot smaller. This one is massive. You can walk
crazy big.
You can walk for I don't know, a couple hours in there, just around the edge, and it's pretty awe-inspiring. And it's hard to totally comprehend how large it is because it is dark in there, so you can't see from one side to the other, but it was pretty massive. And then we went to White Sands actually not the next day, the same day. We went to both on the same day, so that was a fun day of driving. But so I've been to all the national parks except for the ones in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
There's two. There's one there. Oh wait, no, there's not one in Puerto Rico. It's National Park of American Samoa. And then the one in Virgin Islands. So I haven't been to those, but I've been to all the other ones. and I stopped going in 2015, so right before my first daughter was born. And so they've added a couple since then, and White Sands was one of those. So check that one off the list. And that was what day one.
Nice. What did you camp at all?
No,
I know you like to camp.
We didn't camp anymore.
Okay.
My dad's not much of a camper, so
It's a good man.
we stayed in 2-star hotels. I told my dad New Mexico's the home of the 2-star hotel. It was like every place you look, and none of them are bad. I mean, it's like Holiday Inn Express and stuff like that. So it's not like
sure.
It's not a terrible place. But yeah, it was like every hotel, like in these really small towns, was always like it's 2-star hotel and all this stuff. It was just kind of funny to see. It was always 2 stars. But we went to after that we went to a lot of like ancient sites, and when I say ancient sites, it's like 1,000 to I think it's the newest one was like 400 years old. So it was like 400 years old to 1,000 years old. These different places. So I went to the Gila cliff dwellings, which was really cool. So it's a lot. It's kind of like Mesa Verde. It's a lot smaller, but it's just incredible how intact these ruins are. I mean, they're inside of a cliff, so they're protected from the weather. But I mean, everything's like almost perfectly preserved. I think they said it's like 95% still original or something like that, which is just insane to me to see how advanced they were. There you go.
Yeah. Well, so what is it like walking around an ancient spot like that? I can imagine it's kind of like just kind of you're in awe a little bit, kind of, right?
Yeah, I mean, I literally said wow. I think like 3 times at this place.
Yeah.
We didn't actually get to go in because of COVID. I guess they don't want people congregating inside these areas, which was kind of disappointing, but
sure,
you could still get up to it and look around, look through the windows and things like that. But it's incredible that these still exist 800 years later. And I mean, you can go up to them. They've I don't know if they'd put concrete around these. Some of the other ones I went to, they actually put concrete where the mortar was to preserve it a little bit longer. But yeah, these are just incredible to see. I mean, the wood's still there. All the stones are still in place. It's insane how intact these structures are.
Yeah, definitely. If you're listening on the podcast, definitely go and look it up because it's pretty cool. Now, I've never really, I mean, I've heard of the cliff dwellings and I've probably seen a picture or two, but looking at them again and like paying attention, like is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's just, it's really hard to describe. But it's literally buildings inside of a cave.
Yeah.
And what's cool is some of the caves connect together, so they could, go from one cave to another cave without exposing themselves to the weather or what have you. But yeah, I mean, it looks like just like an ancient city that you would see in Europe or something. It's incredible that we have them in America, and probably most people don't know about them, don't think about them. And it's just one of those, I guess, rarely seen things. I think we were there and maybe saw like 10 people at this one. Like there were very few people there at all. We actually went to another one and there was literally nobody there.
Really?
Yeah. I've never been to a national park where there was nobody else there. So it was kind of cool to be able to just take everything in without having to worry about other people. But it was like those sites were not as old. They were like 400 to 500 years old. They were missions. Salinas, Pueblo missions in Mountain Air, New Mexico. But those were like up on hills. Used to be lakes down below. It was a big trading area. They would trade like salt, so they had like salt lakes. in the area, and so they would
Mm-hmm.
trade salt with other people that came through. And so, the Catholic Church, as they are wont to do, decided to kind of turn this area into a mission, just like San Antonio.
Right.
So they have like 3 missions in that area, in like a 15-mile radius or something, maybe bigger than that, but just kind of cool to see all of them and how massive these missions turned out to be. They're bigger than the San Antonio missions, any of them, in like square footage, like the breadth and all the buildings that they have. Even the churches. I think we went into one of the churches. You just look up and it's like, holy crap, like this is like insane how tall this building. I don't remember how tall it was, but I looked up and I think it was like a 2-story building, but it seemed like it was like 100 feet up or something. It was insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All the original wood was still there, still hand hewn. So you could still see the axe marks and.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. These beams are thick and they've got like 3 holding up, like 3, I don't know. They must've been like a foot to 18 inches thick.
Oh man.
Like the square logs, and they're holding up the structure still. Yeah, completely in place. So that was another one. And then we went to one that's called Aztec Ruins National Monument. It's not actually Aztec, but Aztec Ruins National Monument is some of it's still fully intact, and it's the oldest of all the ruins that we saw. It's 1,000 years old. It dates back to like 1000 AD. I think it was active between like 1000 and 1200 AD. And then they migrated south to some of the other ones. So you can go into some of the rooms that are still intact. The wood is still on the roof.
That's crazy.
They've got round logs that are on top of them, and they've still got like essentially shingles, like wood shingles on top of the roof. It's all still there. And it's crazy to go into these rooms because a lot of them, they're missing the top half of the wall or the top third of the wall. So you get a sense of it, but you don't get the full perspective of the parks. And so this one took people to actually go into these rooms, room after room. I think we went into like 7 or 8 rooms, and you get the feeling of like how these people actually lived their lives. And it's crazy to experience that. It's dark, and there's like just a little bit of light coming through because they have to set all the windows up to where the windows from one room go to the next room, to the next room, to the next room.
Right.
And so you get light all the way to the back. It's crazy to experience that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's some amazing stuff. I think that's going to have to be added to our list.
Yeah. It was definitely, we drove a lot, but we did most of it in like 3 days.
Wow.
So we drove from the, I have to think about geography for a second. Southeast corner of New Mexico, all the way to the northwest corner of New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know how many miles we traveled, but I think it was close to 2,500 miles.
Yeah.
But we had a good time doing it, and it's always fun to kind of get away with my dad and do that kind of thing because we both enjoy history. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's an awesome experience, man. I love it.
So what's new with you?
Nothing that exciting, I'll tell you that. But since you asked, I'll share.
Please do. I'm actually interested in this after looking it up.
Okay. Are we talking about the sprinkler system?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was awesome. It is so cool. So I'm into the sharing the screen thing. So I'll share it with those that are watching. Go to our YouTube channel to check this out. But it's pretty easy to talk about. So we moved into this house. The toughest thing that I have to do with owning a house is keeping the yard pretty. And to be fair, in the past we've lived in homes that were new built homes, and so there's no trees, there's no shade. It was all just beat down by the sun, so it's very hard to keep my grass green
Yep.
and moist. But I've never had a sprinkler system, never, whatever reason. Right. So we get this house that we haven't been in a year yet, but they have a sprinkler system, and they had an old control panel. I don't know what the schedule was. If you jiggled the handle, sometimes it would work. It would
Oh
turn
my goodness.
off. It was old. I think it was it was old. I was surprised it was even working. My water bill was pretty high. I don't know. I know the sprinklers worked.
Yeah.
I mean, things were wet. I don't know how long they were, and I can test a water sprinkler system, so I knew how to test it. So I knew the zone. I have really only 3 zones that work. The 4th one, whatever reason. So whatever. So like I'm gonna get something better, and I've had this in my cart for a few weeks, just deciding. I had the 8 zone one, I think, originally, and I was thinking I don't have 8 zones, and so I went out and looked, and I thought, okay, I only got 4. So I go buy this off Amazon. I think it's a little bit cheaper than if you get it at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's like $10 cheaper if you get it on Amazon. So this is a smart, quote unquote, water sprinkler system controller. So I was really intimidated that putting it in. I thought like, oh, another reason why I was putting it off. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm prepared to do this. So so it came in on Saturday or Sunday, and I think I put it up Sunday maybe, or yeah. So I go out there. Actually, it took like 5 minutes to take the old one off and put the new one on.
Oh, nice.
It was easy. It was so easy to do. The hardest thing, I think, was just making sure the plug didn't unravel so much that it made this big mess. I had to keep the tie wrap on it. But I mean, literally, it was unscrewing the holds in it just enough to pull the old wire out and put a new, put it in the new one and screw that in. Really, really simple.
Nice. And
then you have to download the app. Make sure you download the correct app, because I spelled Beehive wrong and downloaded some other app. I was like, oh, this is not working. But anyways, it was. I was telling my wife, this doesn't make sense.
I promise that's not the app that I was trying to download.
And the app is really easy. You can actually take pictures of the zones. You can name the zones. And it's very easy to set a schedule up. I tested all the zones and found out that I've got to actually switch out some sprinkle heads, which actually isn't that hard either, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
But it'll tell me, I can always check it to see if the sprinklers ran. I can see what the schedule is. They have something that's called smart watering.
Yeah.
That if you know the soil type and the type of grass that you have and how deep the roots are, I mean, like it'll connect with the internet and actually kind of almost run itself.
Nice.
Based on the details that you put in there. But man, it was so easy. Let me tell you.
And it also detects or knows the weather in your area and will stop it from turning on the sprinklers if it's rained or something recently, right?
Right. Yeah, because I don't have a rain sensor. What it'll do is actually it'll notify me saying that there's a chance of rain. Do I still want to water?
Yeah.
And so I can tell it no or yes. So super easy to put in. Just needed a screwdriver, and I already had the old one had mounts already, or I had the screws in drywall studs to mount the old one. So I just used that for the new one. And then, yeah, it was really simple to get connected. Once I got the correct app, oh man, it was minutes. I had it running. I was taking pictures of the yard and putting it in. Just made it just, when you find something that like really works and you just get this weight lifted off your shoulders. Like I feel so much better now about my yard health. Right. But very easy, totally worth the $50 for 4 zone. I think at Home Depot you can get a 6 zone, and then you can get the 8 zone as well online. But man, it's so easy. So easy.
Yeah, I mean that's super awesome to have something where you can control all that from your phone. even from like Google Assistant or I think Alexa and all those other. I think I don't think it works with Siri, but Siri doesn't work with Siri either. So
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. But they also, what's interested me, because I don't have a sprinkler system in my house, they have a digital hose timer, which I have like an analog one where you have to go out there and like rotate the dial and make sure it's on the right place. And so they have a Wi-Fi one for that. I might actually get that. It's somehow more expensive than the 4 zone and 8 zone. But to me, it'll be worth it because I can stop it from turning on and when it's rained and if it's going to rain, because mine will still go off regardless, and
Right.
I don't always pay attention to it. So that'll be something that'll be nice for me. So it's cool. It's cool that they have a bunch of different options, not just for people who have sprinkler systems, but people who just want to hook it up to their hose outside.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. This, you totally got it. It's worth the $50 to go and get this one. Very easy.
Cool. So Google Assistant. I guess we're moving into the news.
Yeah, we didn't do a precap.
We didn't do a precap. Awkward.
Oh man.
Here's your precap for the rest of the show.
I was just excited to get to talk to you because I hadn't talked to you in a week.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Google Assistant and your iPhone. The FBI sneaking into computers. Driving hands-free. And silly mistakes that can be made in technology.
So let's talk about the hands-free, because you said driving hands-free.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes. Do you want to cover that one first?
Let's cover that one first.
So GM has a system called Super Cruise. They're the only system out there that you can technically drive without putting your hands on the steering wheel.
Scary.
Tesla has autopilot, but you have to have your hands on the steering wheel because of the way it detects how you're paying attention to the road. You have to be holding the steering wheel, moving it, or putting like a sideways pressure on it for the Tesla one to actually know you're holding the steering wheel. But GM Super Cruise has like an infrared camera that is looking at your eyes to see if you're looking at the road. And so theirs is very specific to where you can drive it. They have certain roads that you can use, certain highways you can use it on, ones that they've pre-mapped out and they know exactly the route and all that stuff. So you can only use it on specific ones. But Ford is getting into the same thing. So they're going to have an infrared camera behind the steering wheel that keeps an eye on if you're paying attention to the road. And it'll be that same, it's 110,000 miles of pre-mapped divided lane highways that you'll be able to use this system on. I have mixed feelings about all of these systems. This one actually, and I don't know how much the GM Super Cruise one costs. You have to have a specific package with it.
Right.
I guess their Ford F-150s it's like $1,000 for Copilot 360 Active 2.0 pack. Or you have to have the Mustang Mach-E fitted with the $2,600 comfort and technology package. And then there's a $600 subscription you have to pay for 3 years of service. So it's not nothing to add it on there. And a lot of these systems, actually all the systems to me, granted, these allow you to do hands-free. So it is kind of nice to be able to it's like not use your hands, but you're still having to pay attention to the road. So it's like, what's the point?
Right.
To some extent.
Yeah.
I don't really trust any of them. I have a Tesla Model 3 and I would not feel comfortable letting my car drive for me without me paying attention to the road anyways. It just isn't ready in any way, shape, or form. I would imagine these systems are probably similar in that regard. which is why you have to be paying attention to the road. And at that point, it's like, why use it? I mean, it does make the drive a little less stressful because
Ooh,
you're not.
no.
Yeah, well, once you get used to it, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It does. I
That would
promise.
like totally stress me out.
It does. You have to, obviously it's not like the first drive you're using it, but once you get used to it and and you learn how the system works and how it doesn't work and how it's going to fail you miserably, and you're aware of those scenarios, then you can kind of curb the problems. But to me, there's no real big benefit to doing something like this at this point. Like, I understand it's like we got to take steps to get to the place where we all want to be, where it's like nobody wants to drive their car. The car drives you from point A to point B, which you could take a nap, you can do whatever you want, which sounds like a dream to me to some extent. Parts of that sound really nice. It's like, yes, I want to be able to do that on certain scenarios, but other times it's like, I feel like when you're going on like a road trip or something, for instance, like I just went on a road trip, it's like you kind of miss out on all the little things that you see in small towns, and you just get like a picture of how other people live their lives and how America is as a whole. Mm-hmm. And I think you kind of miss a little bit of that with systems like this if you're driving on road trips with it. But I don't know, work, if you have a long work commute, it's probably beneficial for something, but I don't know.
Well, I hate to drive. I hate driving, but I don't know. I feel like the only way for these systems to work is if every car is on that system.
Yeah.
Because the element of human error, and I don't know that I don't think in our lifetime we're going to get to a point where everybody has a car that can drive itself. But this is just not going to happen. I believe, and I don't know that I could just trust my vehicle to be able to correct when someone is being a bad driver, like a really bad driver.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bad drivers. And I'm probably one of them. I will admit, there are times I'm not very good at it.
We all make mistakes on the road.
And I just, I just feel like I couldn't trust it until I knew every car was like in the same system. So they're all reading each other and they know where they are. It's possible. We're just not there yet, but I don't know. I mean, that picture I showed of that guy on the screen, he looked very uncomfortable letting the truck drive.
I feel like he's almost giving a side eye to the camera.
Yeah.
Like, don't take my picture. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. It's like, am I really going to let this car or this truck drive itself? It's, I don't know. And I'm older, so maybe that's part of the reason I need to be in control. I have come to realize as I got older that I do have control issues. And I don't like other people driving very much, except my wife. I love when my wife drives. She's a great driver. I don't think she likes it so much when I drive, but that's a different podcast.
We'll get to the marriage counseling podcast next time.
That's right. Awesome. Okay, well, let's talk about the Google Assistant.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I didn't know that it did this. So, I mean, I thought it should, but I didn't think it worked very well, and I hadn't used it.
So you've never used it with your phone?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, did I activate your Google?
Apparently you triggered my Google.
I love when I do that. So no, I've never done that. And so what the article is that Google Assistant can now find / ring silenced iPhones and Androids.
It could do the Androids. It's been able to do that for a long time. The iPhone is a new thing.
The iPhone's new. I didn't know because I probably would have used it several times. For both my wife and both of us lose our phones all the time.
Yeah. In
the house. We put it down and we don't know where we put it.
So the only thing about that is you have to have the voice match set up for your account.
Correct.
So if you both don't have an account with your Google Home, it won't work. It'll only work for whoever's account is set up with that device.
Right. Well, she knows my voice. She doesn't like my wife. Google. It's a she.
Has she done the voice match though?
I don't know. I've told her to do it. I've actually probably taken her to the screen to say, do this. Oh, I'll do it later. So
that's what always happens.
it always
I,
happens.
I just forced my wife to do it. I was like, all right, let's do it right now. We've got a couple minutes. I'm here. I can help you. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I try that, but then I get distracted. It's like, oh, squirrel. It's something else comes up always. But I do love the fact we do have one iPhone in our house, and so I didn't try this out yet because I just saw the article today, and I haven't tried it on my phones. But I'm gonna do it now because it's just exciting. Because that is probably one of the things that annoy me the most is when I drop my phone or I put it somewhere and I don't remember where I put it.
Get stuck between the couch cushions or something.
Yes. And more often than not, it's my wife who says, do you know where my phone is? No, sweetheart, I don't use your phone.
Can you call me?
Yeah. So, and then mine's always on silent or vibrate. So
yeah, mine is too.
It does. It's nice that the Google Assistant will actually, even if it's on Do Not Disturb,
yeah,
if you activate Find My Phone, then it will bypass Do Not Disturb and make that noise, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah. So I've been using it on my Android phones for like 2 or 3 years now. And I don't know how many times I've used it, but I literally would just shout, "Hey, find my phone." And it'll be like, "Do you want me to ring your Pixel 5?" And I'm like, "Yes, please." And it's like, "Ringing now." And then it just rings until I find it. And as soon as I pick it up, it stops ringing. I don't have to hit any buttons or anything like that. But I just set up my wife's iPhone with hers today because I just saw the article today too. And as soon as I got home, I was like, "All right, babe, let's set this up real quick." So I just grabbed her phone, got in the Google Home app, set it all up, and she tested it out, and it worked first time. So it's pretty easy to set up.
Nice. I can't believe she's still on iPhone.
She'll never switch. She had a Pixel, I think No, she had a Nexus 5. It's a long time ago.
And she went back to iPhone?
She went back to the iPhone. She's locked in by the iMessage thing.
Yeah. My daughter went back to iPhone. Oh, we have 2 iPhones in the house, actually. My son and my daughter have one. My wife, though, is totally, when I switched her to Android with the Pixel 2, she's like, I'm never going back to iPhone. She thought the iPhone was easy. Android is just so much better. I mean, it's just.
It just gives you more control, is what I like about it.
Right.
So yeah, find your phone on your Google Home. New for iPhone, not for Android, but still there for both.
Exactly. Love it. All right. So let's save the FBI one for last, and we'll talk about the Oculus Quest AirLink. Oh, this is exciting.
This is pretty cool.
This is very cool. So we have the Oculus Quest 2. And so the article we found basically talks about that you're now able to AirLink to your PC or wirelessly stream computer VR games from the computer to your Oculus 2 Quest.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. We actually have virtual desktop, and we tried it out, and our problem is our computer is just not up to par.
Yeah, that would probably be the biggest downers. These VR computers have to be really capable. You got to have fancy graphics cards, really nice processors.
Which up until today, when this article came out, I was telling my son that's never going to happen. I'm not getting another computer. Now I am, eventually. Yes. But what's also interesting in the article, it really talked about how Facebook is really going all in on the Quest 2, which I found fascinating. That they're basically going to stop producing the other VR headsets because the Quest 2 has just outperformed all other previous VR headsets.
Yeah.
And that this is becoming pretty commonplace now. People are buying the Quest 2 and loving it. And I'll tell you, last night I took a tour of New York City, and it was very cool. It was very cool. I didn't know there were videos because I didn't want to play poker. I was done with poker, which is what I usually all I do. And then I also got a tour of Dubai.
Oh, nice.
I'll say the New York one was not high def. It was a little rough on the graphics, but it was just very cool. There's so much you can do with the VR, and it's becoming easier and easier to find things and do things and just make it interesting.
Yeah,
it's pretty exciting.
I think the fact that it's a completely wireless headset, you don't need to connect it to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the reason it's selling like gangbusters. I mean, the fact that you literally buy this at the store and you're good to go, like it's
out of the box.
The barrier to entry is gone at that point. You don't have to buy some $2,000 computer or anything like that. So,
well, if you want to do the wireless,
yeah, if you do want to do the wireless VR from your computer, then yeah, you have to have a computer. But you don't need a computer to do some of the cool stuff, at least.
No, I love it. I love it. It's a lot of fun. When are you getting yours? Well, you have the PlayStation VR.
Yeah, PlayStation's actually going to come out with a new VR headset maybe next year.
Now, are you going to invest in that one, or are you going to get a Quest 2?
No, I'll probably get the PlayStation one because I mainly would use it for games, and I imagine most of the games that I want to play will be on the PlayStation VR headset. I mean, there's only so many markets to hit, and so I think you'll see companies make games for both platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And since I've already invested in the PlayStation 5, kind of just makes sense for me to keep going with that. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, if it's not good, then, there's no point in me buying it. But I don't think they would go through all this trouble to release a half-baked product. So
I agree.
I think it'll be pretty good.
We'll have to have playtime and share and switch.
Have your son over. He can test out both of them. Tell us which one he likes better.
No, I was talking about me.
Okay.
I'll tell you which
one. I mean, you
can
come over too, obviously. I don't want your son to come over here without you. That'd be weird.
That's all right. All right. The FBI has just found a way into all of our computers. All
over the country.
Yes.
But they did it for good.
Well, I mean, they've always done it, I think, but.
So some of you may know this. A lot of you probably don't know this. Microsoft had a huge exploit in their email server system named Exchange. Mm-hmm. And they patched it. So they released like updates that would patch the holes that hackers could get through, but it would still leave behind little, I'm trying to think of the exact, like backdoors into the networks.
Right.
So even though they patched the hole that they went through, someone could still go in and leave another backdoor into your network. And even though you wouldn't have fixed anything essentially. And so the FBI literally just was going into computers throughout the country and removing that backdoor from people's computers. So kudos to them for doing this. Like, I'm fine with it in this case.
Yeah, but if they can do it,
it's mostly Chinese-based hackers that are that they're trying to protect against.
It is, and I get it, but even still, they have the technology to do that. So if they wanted to, they have your stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure they were part of this. I'm sure they used because they were trying. If they needed to get information from a big company or whatever, I'm sure they exploited this hole as well. I couldn't see them not taking the chance to get in before Microsoft fixed it anyways, if they wanted your information.
I don't think they probably have to take advantage of this exploit to get into your computer if they really cared enough to do it.
Oh, yeah.
They have a lot of really smart people who find their own exploits in computer software and don't necessarily disclose it to manufacturers. So,
well, we have a whole.
This was mostly a counter defense against against other countries doing terrorism to the United States. So
Sure.
in this case, totally fine with it. I mean, if the FBI wanted to get into your computer, they're going to get into your computer. But this is like them removing the chance of other countries, governments getting into your computer. I mean, it's a lose-lose if they don't do it. It's a win-lose if they do it.
True. And I know like this is the warfare of today is
It's
hacking.
happening all the time.
And I know we have the military has specific teams that all they do all day long are trying to hack other countries.
Yeah.
And they also have a team trying to prevent hacking.
Yep.
So I know it's the warfare of today. And I'm glad that, and I hope that it's all in good faith that they're trying to protect what we have and what we're doing around here. So
they supposedly didn't search for or remove any additional malware or hacking tools that were on these systems, even if they were there. So it's not like they were just trying to clean up computers. They were specifically just stopping this one thing.
Right. So, I mean, at this point, any hacker can probably, there are hackers that can do it whatever they want. So it's always like security seems like it's a step behind in some cases. So
always a cat and mouse game.
Yeah. 100%.
Hopefully the white hat hackers, the good guys, are the ones finding the exploits and telling the companies, and they're patching it, and those white hat hackers are getting paid for letting the companies know that, hey, you got something wrong with your software. Maybe you should fix this before someone exploits it.
That is one of my top 10 movies, which would be Sneakers.
Oh, yeah?
Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd, all kinds of great actors in that movie.
Nice.
Have you seen the movie?
I don't think I've seen Sneakers.
You are crazy. You gotta watch that tonight. How do you not know about this movie?
I don't know if I'll be able to watch it tonight, but
okay, by next week you need to. It's a really good movie. It's old. It's like from the 90s, but
is it as good as War Games with Matthew Broderick?
No, that's the original. You can't. I mean, it's in a class by itself. But I will say Sneakers, just because it has some really good actors in it.
Yeah.
And the storyline is pretty cool. Watching these old guys, do some stuff. It's a cute movie. I think it's a good movie.
1992.
Yeah.
Computer hacker Martin, aka Robert Redford. The fact that Robert Redford's the computer hacker is pretty.
He wasn't that old yet. He was still in the 90s. He was still.
Yeah, but could you imagine Robert Redford as a hacker?
Yes, he does a good job.
He is good at acting, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
It's worth your time. What is it, like 90 minutes? It's worth your time.
Let's find out how long this movie is.
You'll be pleasantly surprised. It's probably like 87 minutes.
It doesn't actually say. Surely somebody's got to have it on here.
I'm sure someone.
2 hours and 5 minutes.
Is it really 2 hours?
I have a rant about movies. I feel like movies are too long sometimes. Like a lot of times, like why do all movies have to be 2 hours nowadays? Like, can we like get hour and a half, hour and 40-minute movies, please?
No, that's only for cartoons.
What happened to comedies that were an hour and a half to hour and 40 minutes? Like, I don't need a 2.5 hour comedy. Like, forget that.
Yeah, a comedy. Well, did you watch the 4-hour Justice League yet?
No, I haven't.
It took a while for me. It took a couple of weeks because I wasn't going to do it in one sitting. So I watched probably 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there.
Nice. Did you like it though? That gap means not as much as you were hoping.
Yes, not as much as I was hoping. It filled in some gaps. It added. I mean, it was better than the first release.
Yeah,
it was, which is not saying much.
I will not have that point of reference because I did not see the first Justice League.
I think what kind of adds to my disappointment is the fact that we're not getting anything else after this. Like this was it. initially, I think this was like the springboard for the whole DC universe,
Right.
and then nah, it doesn't. It's not going to happen. And so there's a big outcry now for Ben Affleck to go ahead and make his Batman movie, but
I
I know
think
that's
I just think the DCEU is like imploding on itself, and it's like they're gonna
yeah.
have to reboot it all again already,
Well,
which is crazy to me.
well, yeah, because they already have a new Batman
Yeah,
planned.
Robert Pattinson will be the new Batman.
Yeah, which and I got Batman is probably one of my favorite comic book characters and movie character. I mean, I love Batman. I love me some Batman.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're gonna try to set it into another universe, and well, they always do that with every Batman release.
Yeah.
You know,
It's always
but
a reboot,
yeah,
a different universe.
different universe. But you know, they did a really poor job with the Justice League and then just dropping it and giving up on it. And I think it had to do with the actors and the producers just weren't happy with that release. I don't know. I you know, made me kind of sad that Joss Whedon didn't do a better job.
Yeah, I can't really say anything about Joss Whedon at this point. I used to like him. I loved Firefly, the TV show, as short-lived as it was. But apparently he's a bit of a creepo. Yeah, so I don't really. I guess I don't really care anymore about him. So
right. That's
like,
you know,
it's disappointing that I guess they didn't get a better movie, regardless of whoever was in charge at the time. There must have been some sort of fallout between Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder for them to not have let him make the one he wanted to in the first place.
right.
Obviously, his kid died and all that stuff, but I don't think that was the whole reason why he dropped out of the movie. So it just was not meant to be.
And it's so hard because I don't want to drop any spoilers, right? Because I know you haven't seen it, but there was something else that I was hoping for a big payoff and it didn't happen. I mean, it was good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It's hard for me to explain it without actually saying it, and I don't want to do that. So I'll let you watch it and then we can discuss it because I was a little bit sad, but it made sense. But you know, it wasn't as great as I was hoping. Sorry, it's very mysterious and cryptic the way I'm talking. So
yeah, I don't think I could be let down because my hopes for this movie are not very high.
So my favorite villain is the Joker.
Yeah,
that's my favorite villain, super villain, whatever you want to call it. And he's actually probably my favorite character overall. Is the Joker.
Which iteration of the Joker is your favorite?
Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
As far as
classic performance.
Yeah.
Have you played any of the Batman games?
I think I played
the Arkham Knight.
Yeah, I played the second one.
So there was Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, I think, and then Arkham Knight.
I think I did Arkham Knight.
That was the last one.
Oh, that's the last one.
That was with Joker was like already dead in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and he was like haunting the Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those games.
Those were really good. Mark Hamill did an amazing job as the Joker in those games. Loved everyone.
Every time he did the Joker, he's good at it.
He's so good.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job in the animated series. Every time he played the Joker.
Yeah.
So I guess him and Heath Ledger are pretty high up on my list. Although I will say that I did like Leto in his scene. I thought he did a really good job in the little screen time that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm always it disappoints me like that they just, and I guess it's hard to follow up Jack Nicholson and then Heath Ledger. Like it's hard to follow up with a good Joker after those guys. And so
yeah,
maybe that's why they haven't really.
Everybody's trying to make him their own, but almost to the detriment of the character to some extent.
Exactly. But yeah, that's, I would say, and which is when I hate, like in the first Batman movies in the 90s with Michael Keaton, and they kill the Joker. I'm like, you can't you shouldn't kill these characters off in a movie
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
You know,
The comics always, a lot of times left it open ended. Like, is he dead? Is he not dead? And
right?
they'd come back, so many books later.
Hmm.
And I think you're seeing that with. I was thinking about this while watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, episode 4. They've essentially left the door open for Steve Rogers to come back anytime he
Sure.
wants to.
Right.
I mean, he had to go into essentially a parallel universe to stay with Peggy for the rest of his life. I mean, who's to say he couldn't come back from that parallel universe at a different point in time? He never tells you what he does in this other time. I mean,
Right.
they totally left that open-ended, I feel like, in the way the comics would do. And Steve Rogers came back, I think, a bunch of times
Oh yeah. Oh,
in the
yeah.
comics, even though they had all these other Captain Americas, he always came back. And so that's, to me, if you want a character to come back, or if you enjoy a character enough, you're going to find a way to make that happen, to where it's like, all right, we're not shutting the door completely, but he's going to disappear for a while.
Right.
So it'll make the impact when he comes back even greater.
Exactly. So, getting to our last topic, silly mistakes in technology. They just make some silly mistakes in the movies when it comes to comic books. Well, I'll have to say DC really makes some silly mistakes. Although I will say this, I did not know that the Flash could go faster than the speed of light. I was never a Flash fan, so I don't know. I didn't read his comics.
Yeah. I was never really into DC comics, I guess, growing up. I mean, obviously I was aware of Superman and Batman. Other than that, I mean, I wasn't super familiar with any of the characters. So
yeah, me too. I was more Marvel than I was DC, but yeah, I always loved my good Batman comic book.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We should probably get to our main topic: silly mistakes in technology. Do you want to start this off, Jeremiah?
Sure. So I just wanted to bring a topic up that we can have a little bit of fun with, and I'm sure we've all heard different stories of these little mistakes happening. So this is just a reminder, like, this can happen. Kind of look out for it and have a good laugh, but really, think about what you're doing. So the first one on my list is your Zoom meetings, your Zoom webcam, or your webcam at all.
So many good stories with Zoom over this pandemic.
It's terrible. People getting caught with their pants down,
literally.
You forgetting that the camera's on.
I think I heard a story recently where this student was in class and they thought they had either turned their camera off. No, they didn't turn their camera off. They thought they turned their camera off, and they went and had sex with their boyfriend or something like that. And everybody saw everything.
Yes.
I'm just like, oh my goodness. I would never be able to go back to class. I would be mortified.
No, it's terrible. There are so many stories of different things, getting up and going to the restroom, right? And just, I mean, it's just like, oh, wow, you just be careful with the camera.
I always like double, triple check that I'm muted, that my camera's off. Like, I'm like paranoid, and I don't even like do anything when all these things are turned off. I just don't want to like somehow have like a huge gaffe.
Yes. No, I'm totally the same way. I make sure, so I have the little, on my home computer, I have the little cap that goes over the camera. I make sure that's closed even before the meeting's over. I make sure my laptop's shut down and the light's not on. I mean, because the light can go out, like it could still be on and the light's not notifying you. And so I just make sure, because it's a silly mistake, but so many people have been caught, even with thinking that the camera's off and maybe they can't see anything, but they can still hear you talking. And there are stories of people saying things about who they were just with in the meeting.
Oh gosh, we had that at the place that I work.
Oh no.
We were starting up a training for our new phone system, and this, I won't say anybody's names because I have people at work who actually listen to this. One of the employees was on video and his microphone was not muted. Everybody was asked to mute their microphone, turn off the video when they get in the meeting. This guy did not do either one. And he's in there talking to someone else in his room, in his office. And he's like saying bad things about them. And I'm like, I'm like trying to get his attention. I'm like, hey, like I'm saying his name. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is so bad. And finally the host of the meeting muted him. And I'm like, oh my God, that could have been so much worse. But he cursed on the meeting and everything. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is so crazy.
Well, and what's so interesting is like, I don't know if you have experience with this, but there are people in leadership, even at the company I work for, that are not the best with technology. And so, you know, they may not know how to mute people.
Yeah.
Right. Or if they're conducting, and it's just irritating too when you ask people to mute and they don't, and then you're in the middle of a presentation and then they're talking, hey, how you doing? Whatever.
So annoying.
And so sometimes, you know, if you're enjoying the presentation, you don't have time to go and mute everybody. You're just hoping that they are, and they unmute themselves and don't realize it. So,
yeah,
you know, these are silly mistakes that please be more careful. That's all I got to say.
There is a nice mute all button a lot of times, which is super handy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when we set up our meetings now, we actually have everybody come in on mute, which helps. So you can do that.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Set it up that way to where everybody's muted automatically.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so number 2 on the list, actually, we've talked about before.
A little bit.
And that's using the same password for everything.
Yeah.
That's like an IT person's worst nightmare.
Yes.
Right.
Never use the same password ever. I know it always sounds like it's a good idea. It always makes your life easier. Use a password manager instead. There are several out there. Bitwarden is free. 1Password you have to pay for, but totally worth it. There's a couple others out there.
I'm on 1Password now because of you.
Oh, nice.
We talked about it in one of our episodes, and it's totally worth it. It took a second for me to get used to it.
Yeah.
But I love it.
I have, so between my work passwords and my home passwords, I have over 1,000 passwords. I would never be able to save all those passwords. And if I were to have them all be the same because I can't remember all the passwords, oh man, could you imagine 1,000 different things being exposed?
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's terrible.
That would be awful. It would take me forever to try and stop that from happening. Stop all those attacks from happening. Don't do it. And Jeremiah's other tip, use 2-factor authentication when you can.
Yes.
Not all websites support it.
No.
Which they should.
I know definitely your Facebook. Put it on 2-factor authentication, please.
Your Facebook, your Twitter.
All your socials.
All social media should have 2-factor. Your email should have 2-factor authentication. Because your email can easily turn into the epicenter of spam. I've actually had that at our office, where you're now sending out all the spam to everybody else. And everybody's like, why are you sending me spam? I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Because they do a good job of covering their tracks and not letting you know that they're in your account. They won't lock you out all the time. They will just take over and like do whatever they want. And it's pretty impressive. I've gotten a little more familiar with what they do, and it's not fun to be on the receiving end of that. So
no,
use 2-factor where you can, because even if you have your password and maybe you somehow write it down and somebody gets access to it, or they figure it out because your password's I love Joe, or whatever,
or password,
which should never be your password. Then 2-factor authentication can help stop that. It's not infallible. There are ways where it can still be a problem if your 2-factors, your phone or your like text messages aren't the most secure, but it's still better than nothing.
Yeah. Well, on my Gmail, my personal Gmail.
Yeah.
I don't have it on the other ones, but my personal one, I have to say yes on my phone.
Yeah.
I do like that.
That is nice. Anytime I log into a new computer or a new device or something, it will prompt you on your phone to, is this you? And you have to say yes or no.
Right. Love that.
I think Microsoft does the same thing for their Hotmail and Outlook.com accounts.
Yes.
I don't know about Yahoo, but why are you still using Yahoo?
Or AOL.
Or AOL. There are people still using both of those,
Yes.
and they don't necessarily have to be old, I found out, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they can still be 40s and under. There's still people with Yahoo and AOL accounts somehow. So, yeah. Be as secure as possible.
Yes. All right. And the next one. Your home network, your home Wi-Fi.
Yes.
If you leave it open with no security, or you just use the default security, that's terrible.
You're asking for a lot of trouble.
A lot of trouble. It's so easy to find default passwords, admin, username, admin password. I mean, the defaults on these are so easy.
I've done it when I've helped customers out there. They're like, "How did you know my password?" I'm like, "It's the default one. I just had to Google it real quick."
Exactly. I do that all the time when we can't figure out if I'm helping. How do I turn it on? Whatever. I just Google it real quick, and it's
never leave the default username and password for anything.
No.
Like that is, I've seen that so many times, and it's like, oh my goodness, like how can you, even at like businesses, they'll just leave the default username and password for something, and it's like, oh my goodness, you're just like setting yourself up for someone to hack into your network.
Yeah, and so it's you can read the instruction manual, and I get it. Sometimes it's jargon, and you don't want to read it, but go to YouTube and just watch a video.
If there is a video, do it.
There is.
If
There's
not,
a ton of them.
and you don't want to do it, call somebody, because I bet you the $100 it costs for them to set it up is going to cost you a lot less than if your whole network is hacked and now they have access to your computer and your credit card and your bank account and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they can get it.
Oh yeah, it's not that hard.
No. And the same thing if you're going to use public Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi is great. I love it, but really be careful what you access using this public Wi-Fi. I would recommend using and my mind just went blank.
A VPN?
Thank you. Yes. They're so cheap. And especially if you're working a lot in like coffee shops. When I used to work at Panera and Starbucks and all these places. I had a VPN because you just don't know who's sitting in that same coffee shop with you with their laptop open, their headphones on, looking like they're working on something, and they're hacking other people on the public Wi-Fi.
Yeah. That's one of the things I love about the Google Pixel phones. It has built-in VPN. So if you connect to an open network, the VPN automatically turns on and your data is protected. So I feel a little more secure doing that, but I still am not a huge fan of public Wi-Fi just because I feel like A, it's usually slower, but B, it's just so insecure.
It can be scary.
Yeah.
But a VPN, I mean, it's like $3 or $5 a month.
Yeah.
It's cheap. And all it does is it just it connects you in a way that you don't look like you're coming from. It secures that connection. That way you also aren't just freely being able to be seen on the network, and just do it. It's easy. You can get it for your phone too.
Here's one little tip that I'll throw out there. So if you subscribe to Google One, which is their data, like if you buy Google Drive space, like maybe you want to back up more photos on Google Photos or something like that. If you buy that Google One service, which for, I think it's like 100 gigs or 200 gigs, it's like $2 a month. I don't remember all the different levels, but it starts at like $2 a month. They actually now include VPN as part of that service. I don't know if it works on iPhones, but on Android phones for sure, it's included, and you can set it up on there. So for $2 a month, you're getting
it's $24 a year,
and you're essentially getting VPN for free.
Yeah.
To help protect your data. So it's kind of a nice nice bonus that they throw in there for you because they know that your data needs to be protected when you're on public Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Love it. Love it. So the next one, I really don't have any experience with.
same.
Yeah. But I saw it and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And that is shopping online while you drink and get drunk. Like you could probably have wine and shop, but come on. If you've had too much, get off Amazon. Just don't do it.
Unless you buy really cool stuff when you're drunk and you're loaded. And I'm not talking about the alcohol making you loaded. I'm talking about the money in your wallet making you loaded.
But how often do you think that's true that you're making good shopping decisions while drinking? I don't know that you'll make cool. I think you would make like terrible mistakes because you think things look better than what they are.
You just never know.
Come on. There's other things that you do when you're drunk that really don't make sense. Again, I don't know. I don't have experience with shopping and drinking, but I just thought it was cute to say. Don't shop.
Don't drink and shop.
There you go. Drink and shop. That's a no-no. But the last one I have on here, social media mistakes. It can be terrible. Whether you put certain pictures up, you make comments, you put videos, you put your status. There's all kinds of things that you can do. Funny example, my daughter got an Instagram account. Do you remember what she named her Instagram account, Craig? Because you pointed this out to me.
No.
So she was, I guess, 13, 14 maybe at the time. And so her Instagram account was Arabian Lover. And she had used my phone to create this account. And so in a conversation with you, you said, so you love Arabs or Arabians? I was like, what are you talking about, man? That's your Instagram. It's connected to your phone number. I'm like, what? No, that's a horse, man. That's a horse. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, I do now.
I'm like, oh, so there's just, we do things as kids, but even adults, man, we post some crazy stuff or we will repost or share different things that are just, I just want us to think a little bit about it. And I've done it. I've shared things that I probably were like, after I shared it, like, I probably shouldn't have done that. Whether it was the words or the picture or, just the overall tone of it. Because that stuff, man, it's there forever. You can't get rid of it. Forever. You're not on very much social media.
No, I'm not. I don't post that often anyways. I used to post more to like Tumblr. Like I used to have like a blog on Tumblr a long time ago.
Too. I did. Uh-huh.
And I would post things on there. I have like my Tumblr still exists. I have like journal entries from like when I went to national parks. It's like a recap of the day sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some pictures that I've posted of kids and pictures that I've taken at national parks and things like that. But that's usually the extent. I am on Twitter and I post more political stuff on Twitter than most.
Do you?
I do a lot of like retweet stuff.
Oh, I got to go back and look. I have been off Twitter for a while. I just haven't had the time to look through it. And actually, I'll be honest, I haven't been on TikTok either. I know it saddens people, but my TikTok time has significantly reduced recently.
How can you say it's one of your top 3 apps on a desert island if you're not using it now anymore?
I know. Well, I tell you, things change for me.
There's a lot of fast changes going on.
There is. And I'll tell you, the reason I took a break was because I was behind on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And it's like my feed is full of, Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
People
Just
talking
spoilers,
about it.
Man.
So I didn't want to, and I wanted to see the episodes before I started watching all the videos. And so I just haven't gone back. I mean, I'm sad, but I'm not,
It's for the best.
It probably is. I am now playing I play games on my phone. That's really what it's for.
Cribbage.
We know that. It's entertainment, right? What do I play now? I play Star Wars Galaxies.
No, not cribbage.
I have backed off cribbage too. I know. Like that episode.
I don't even know you anymore, Jim.
You don't know me. That episode was like totally irrelevant now because my apps have changed.
I feel like we need a new apps episode, mainly just for you. Mine are all still the same.
Well, yeah, because you use your phone for intelligent stuff, and it's not just purely. You're not as wild and crazy as I am, and I just change apps all the time. I took cribbage off just a couple of days ago because I wasn't playing it anymore. Sad. I mean, I was totally into that, and now I'm not. Yeah. It's like Star Wars Galaxies.
It happens. We all go through phases of games and stuff, right?
Well, and this is a phase I've been in before, and then I came back to it. It's sad. It's really sad sometimes.
It's like me with I play like one game on my phone. It's usually Words with Friends.
Yeah.
And what was so your iRobot? Is that it in the corner by the lamp?
Yeah. You can hear it from over there. What? Yeah, I mean, you can see it. It's glowing. Man, I have some choice words for her right now. That's hilarious. And I'm not going to say on my podcast, but
yeah, like I will play Words with Friends for like I don't know a couple months, and then I won't play it for like a year.
I do that.
And then I'll play it for like a couple months, and then I won't play it for a year. Like I've done that since I don't know how long Words with Friends has been out, but
Scrabble. It's Scrabble now.
Is it Scrabble with? No, mine still says Words with Friends.
Well, you should play Scrabble with friends. It's better.
Well, my friends are on Words with Friends though.
They're probably on Scrabble. Well, are you sure are they still your friends even though you haven't played with them?
And by friends, I mean my wife. I pretty much just play my wife right now.
So you just tell her, "Hey, I'm playing again. It's your turn."
I don't know what. I think I started playing out of nowhere, and she was like, "So you're gonna play me and then not play me again?" Like I played her one time, and then she responded back, and it took me a few days to play again. I get disinterested real fast.
She's awesome. She is great. We have some good wives, man. We're married to some good people.
Very lucky.
Yes. Awesome. Well, that's all I have for today.
If I could do Porky Pig, I would do That's All, Folks. That's exactly what came to mind when you said that's all I got. I was like, that's all, folks.
All right.
That's old school.
Well, again, we got to get sounds on our computer and we can play them. We just have the Looney Tunes.
I don't know if I would have been ready for that one. That one came out of nowhere.
All right. Well, please tell your friends. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. Find us on
subscribe, comment.
All the above. Hit the like button. And we're on all the podcast places. So download us and listen to us in your car, on your Google Assistant, wherever it is. Please take time and let people know that you are enjoying your time with us.
If you're not, tell them you are anyways.
Amen. All right. See you next week.
Ta-ta.